I swore I was going to go live tonight, and hopefully somebody send me a link and let me know if I'm actually live, please. I'm doing this via my new phone. So somebody send me a message, whether it's Teams, aka Skype, Facebook Messenger, even a text message. Somebody send me a freaking notice and let me know if this is live, because I don't want to start talking and then end up having a lot of lovely, see it, there's the picture, lovely problems and saying everything and then not, I can't even access live chat with this. So it says I'm live up at the top. I cannot access my computer because supposedly I have no internet. I am using my phone. Unavailable offline. Yeah, see, I keep getting told I'm unavailable and I'm offline. So somebody, please let me know if you are able at all to see this. I think this is going to be a test. And if it works, then I'm doing it this way, because I am not putting up with this bullshit anymore. Oh God, I hope this works. And I don't even know how to, oh, there is a mute camera. Right. I have no idea what all that stuff is. Welcome to live chat. Remember to guard your privacy and abide by our community standards. Yeah, true, but I can't see chat. So chat filter top all messages. Yeah, see, I'm not getting anything. And it doesn't look like I've got anybody showing up. So, and this is, I don't have anything. I'm still not connected for whatever reason. I'm going to try and do it this way and see if that works. Well, I've got one person. If you're in chat, please let me, hi, you are there. Thank you. Thank you for responding. And now I've got internet back up on my computer. This is just messed the F up. Hardcore, like messed up. Okay, supposedly I'm still live on even the other one, and that's not, I don't even know how that's possible. Because I shut it down. Okay, so welcome. Welcome to Restore Belief with Nikki. For those that are brand new coming in, hello. My name is Nikki Jacobs. I am a psychic medium. I'm an ET abductee. You're so cute. Oh my God, thank you for that. It's been a day. I'm in desperate need of a haircut, and I have not done shit. So thank you. I appreciate that, my dear. Okay, so I was originally talking about ETs and my experiences. So those that are brand new to this, and whether you're, oh God, see, now I'm not even getting anything on the computer. Okay, well, I guess I have to say F it to the computer right now. And oh, thank you. Please feel free and subscribe. I appreciate that. Anyway, have you heard of Dr. Jacobs? Name sounds vaguely familiar, but I'm not recognizing it. Okay, so anyway, I'm an ET abductee. I am a hybrid. I'm a surrogate mother to This one's going to be a shocker for a lot of people. 30 children, 30 hybrid children. I am, which is mind-boggling to me. I'm 57 years old, born in 68. They started me, I'm in one of the hybridization programs. There are, hey, Trace, oh, thank God, thank you. Trace, can you, oh, you're not on my page. I just realized you're not on my page. I need somebody that's on my Facebook page that is actually to post the link or to post it onto my psychic page, my psychic medium page, because he studied ET abduction that's why his name sounds familiar. In other words, he's old school. So thank you, and I do not know how to pronounce your name, and I don't want to goof it up. So anyway, so what I was going to be talking about, and see, we went from one person to 11 people and now down to 4 people. So wagon. Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. I really appreciate the name stuff. So and I can't get back into those who were watching at the time to give all the information. Anyway, and now we're down to one person. So my point being, I was talking about the Lyran race and how they are subdivided out. Lyrans are a form of feline race of ET. And I was specifically talking, it's only you. Okay, thank you. That's what I wanted to know. I appreciate that. Thank you for sticking with me, because this is a subject a lot of people don't want to hear about. They don't want to talk about. They want to go off into their own little worlds and live their lives and ignore it. And I have family members that I came out in 2018. You were here. Okay, so it's only showing one person. Trace, I'm really glad you're still there. Thank you. So this has been quite a lifelong experience as an ET abductee. It's been quite eye-opening. Okay, I've got to move this because my body's actually hurting. I didn't realize I was torqued in a specific position. There we go. Okay, I was hoping that would not do a high pitch. The picture, which you can't quite see, is a picture that I painted from when, a number of years ago. But I painted it because it's one of the very first memories that I have as a 4-year-old, up on board an ET ship. And they are, the real ET ships are consortium based. It's just a portion of it. It has a picture of a hand and an outline of the hand, and it's because and that is supposed to be what we now know as the Butterfly Nebula. But when I was 4 years old, the ETs specifically told me, and this is a copyright thing on my part, they told me we call it the Infinity Galaxy. And I'm like, it's not a galaxy, but that's what they called it. And so in 2018, I was walking around my kitchen and from the hallway into my kitchen, and had my phone in my hand, and I was looking at a picture that came up on my Facebook feed, and it was a NASA, it was a James, it's the James whatchamacallit telescope. Anyway, and it had gotten a current picture of the Butterfly Nebula, and I nearly passed out at that given moment, the second I saw it, because and the first words out of my mouth as I'm in the process of dropping down, thank God for the counter, because the phone dropped onto the counter. I had a glass in my other, a cup, a tumbler in iced tea in my other hand, and it hit the counter, and I grabbed for the counter because the counter was the only thing that kept me standing. I still went down, and thank God for really good muscles back then, because I was doing a lot of exercise back then. And that's what stopped me from passing out. I mean, I was just, it completely shocked the hell. And that's what triggered my memories. I mean, like, not all my memories. I had that as a memory through my entire life, but I always thought it was a dream. And even as a little kid, I always remembered it. I mean, I remembered it even long after I was married. And I was married at 22 and have an adult who's now an adult. He's 33, son. And so it completely flipped me out. So this was a hell of an eye-opener to me. And after that memory popped up, I was like, I've got to get this out of my system. And this is in my opinion, of art, because I'm no artist. I mean, I grew up doing art, and in high school, I had 4 years straight of art because it was such a big thing for me. Everything from clay to drawing to, I wasn't the best in the school, but I was in the process of getting there. And then by the time I went through college, all of that went by the wayside because I went into college for photography. But this was a mind bender to me. I mean, a true mind bender. I had a hell of a time. I was like, oh my God, that situation is real. And then I started having flashbacks. And from the flashbacks, it went, and I know, Trace, this wasn't what we were supposed to be talking about tonight, but since we've got new folks in here, and since it has brought in new people, it's kind of a big deal to, instead of delving right into exactly what I was talking about before, this might be a new opportunity for me to be able to have other people really listen. So I apologize to the ones who've been with me for 3 years while I've been talking about this. But this is an opportunity, and I sure as heck didn't expect it like this. I got told by the hierarchies and my spirit guides not too long ago that I was on the right track and that things were gonna be happening. And apparently, yeah, because this was a heck of a shock and very frustrating with the tech stuff, because I've had a lot of tech problems in the last month and a half. I'm also a targeted individual, because I know there's a couple of real big reasons why, but we won't get into that. But because that'll really scare people, and I don't want to. This is not about scaring people. This is about informing and letting people know that, look, if you are an ET abductee, there are those of us that are out there that are willing to be open and willing to talk about this. And there are channels out there that are quality channels. There are a lot of people who are out there putting out bullshit, lying information. I mean, it's true crap. You wanna look at a channel called R, the letter R, and the name Keith, Keith, last name Andrews, R. Keith Andrews. He's another quality individual who is a ET abductee. And he talks openly about his experiences, and I know that what he talks about is freaking on the spot. I mean, on the money. It's valid information. And the reason I know that is because the things that he talks about, I've seen, I've experienced. A lot of these other things that are being talked about on major TV shows, bits and pieces of that are true. And other sections of it are like, are you, I gotta be careful. I gotta be very careful. So just know you got to be very careful in this ufology community as to who you follow, as with any information. And that is a big deal. That's a really big deal in my book. Some of the old schoolers have been, there's only one that I know that has been that has been in, I was going to call it an industry, and in many ways it's really becoming an industry. Oh gosh, I don't know if this is still plugged in or not. There we go. So you been in it for 30 years or longer. Some of them have been corrupted. And there's very, very few individuals that I personally know who knows a lot of the others who are not corrupted. And that's a really big deal. Really big deal. So be very careful. This is why I have a standard response. Do your own research. If you're interested in something, I don't give two shits if it's political. I don't care if it's ufology. I don't care if it's medical. Whatever you are interested in, make sure that you do your own research. That's vital, especially nowadays. There's so much misinformation being put out. Okay, so off on that tangent, away from that tangent, let's get back into, so I'm 57 years old. I've been abducted, as far as I remember, from the time I was 4 years old, but I know that it goes back long before that. I know my mother was an ET abductee, and I know that my grandmother was an ET abductee, both of whom are now on the other side. I lost my mom this past February. I'm not looking for I'm sorries or anything like that. I understand. I'm letting you know that when my mom remembered, she started crying. And this was a big deal. She was like, I asked her, I said, do you remember the green van and us being taken? And she went, the aliens. And I went, yeah. And she immediately started crying. And it was like, if I hadn't have said that, we never would have talked about it. Okay, so that said, the other thing is that my grandmother went blind when I was very young, about 5 years old. And by the time I was 9, 10 years old, my grandmother had died. So for a very short number of years, I was partially raised by my grandmother. My mom had my grandmother babysit me when I was a little girl. And my grandmother went blind. And while my grandmother was blind, and after she went through I'm I'm in Washington State. Okay, I am in the greater Seattle area. And yes, I know what that means publicly. I get that. But I mean, that's been public for a very long freaking time. So BFD. So my point is that my grandmother, who had come back from and learned how to live all over again as a blind woman, a single blind woman, in the early 1970s, I'm going to tell you the reason I'm telling you this is because of one of my experiences with her as a little kid who was a psychic, only didn't understand that she was a psychic. Okay. So I kept thinking for a long time, I kept thinking, oh, I was about 7 years old when this happened. And I've gotten really back into, I have an eidetic memory, and I use in my brain, I'm not a savant, oh my God. I actually know 3 savants. I'm nowhere near in their category of memory kind of stuff. Whoa. But when I was a kid, I used to be able to walk into a room, walk back out of it, and tell you everything that was on the shelves, everything that was on the walls, the colors of, I mean, description beyond. I mean, it was anal, the kind of stuff that I was able to do as a small child. So I was being watched by my grandmother. My grandmother was blind, and we were on the third. Oh, hello. I got internet back apparently. Okay, so that was me. It's good to know that I got internet back on the computer. Anyway, my point is that we were on the 3rd story of her new apartment building. And I was in the kitchen and looked to the it was a small apartment, very, very small apartment, designed for those with disabilities. And every room had a bell pull for emergencies. If you were deaf, it had above the door, it had lights. If you were blind and could hear, it had alarms. I mean, it was the whole building was like this. My point being is that when I was in the kitchen, because she had asked me to stir something that was on the stove, I turned around. I'd stirred whatever it was because it was on low. I turned around, and you look from the kitchen through the living room, and out the living room you have the window, the one window in the living room. And which is interesting because there wasn't a lot of light in that living room, and because she was completely blind and only saw quote unquote darkness, like really dark gray darkness. That's how she classified it as. And I looked out the window knowing that we were on the 3rd floor. I could see a man standing outside the window, and it freaked me out. And when I walked up to Grandma, I said, Grandma, why is there a man standing outside? And so I'm literally walking up to her, and she's calling me by my given name because I go by Nikki, but no, she's calling me Nicole. She's the only one that can ever call me Nicole. And if you got family, you know, especially with a grandparent, your given name. And she goes, what's wrong? And I said, why is there a man standing outside the window? And she said, you mean on the cement? And I said, no. I walked up to her. I remember touching her knee when I said no. I don't think I've ever said that before publicly. And I walked over to the window, and I'm standing at the window, and I'm just, my jaw is like, oh my God. He's floating. What I saw was this man was floating. And she said, describe him to me, Nicole. And I started describing him. And she said, what's on his head? And I said, what do you mean what's on his head? Because I didn't tell him that he was wearing a hat. And she said, you missed. And she named the color of the hat. And she described the color of his eyes. She's blind. And I went, how are you seeing that? And she goes, because I can see him. I can see him up here. This is what she did. And she goes, shh, Nicole, we don't talk about those things. Oh, he's got the squeaky toy. Dude, we're not doing squeaky toy tonight. I got a puppy here who's, well, he's about a year old. And I have to hide the squeaky toy anytime we go on a live because the squeaky toy gets very obnoxious and that is not okay. So we're moving the squeaky toy. So anyway, hey, enough. So basically, she knew that this guy, and it was a spirit. I found out later that this guy was, you know, hello. I'm like, how is he floating? And he was like I am. He was completely physical. That's what he looked like to me. There was no ability to see through him. He was completely solid, but he was floating. And I was starting to freak out a little bit, and she literally put her finger to her lips and said, shh, Nicole, we don't talk about those things. Those things will get us locked away into the crazy house. Loony bin, I think is what but then she called it a crazy house. And so that was one of my first hardcore memories. I mean, I'd seen spirits all my life. I just didn't understand it. I'd seen them when I was in the cradle. We had my great uncle built a cradle for me, for my mom for, excuse me, a not a wedding gift, but a baby shower gift. And my great aunt had filled it with toys and things like that. So from the time I was in that cradle, because I had a great uncle who was a master woodworker, started the good grief, he started the Woodworkers Association of Yakima, Washington, which, as far as I know, is now defunct. Or at least last I had heard a number of years ago, is no longer in existence, which just is cryworthy to me because my great uncle was just, he was a phenomenal woodworker. Anyway, my point is that here I have this experience with, I mean, that was really when I understood that this was a spirit. This person was dead. They were floating midair because they knew that my grandmother and I were both psychics. And I learned very early on that you don't talk about being a psychic. And that's not what she called it. I actually do not remember the name. I know I remember it. I've got to correct myself. I know that I remember it. I have not pulled out what I was going to say about the eidetic memory, the photographic memory of mine, is that the way my memory works for that kind of stuff is, if you've ever, oh no, I lost the name of the movie. If you've ever seen, not Psycho, what is the name of the movie with Jack Nicholson? I'm here with the axe through the door. I can't think of the name of that movie. Well, the sequel to that movie, which I dearly love. I love both movies, but the sequel to that movie, there's an image that they do where there's an entire wall filled with filing cabinets. And I lost my ever-loving shit when I saw that movie because I was like, that's my brain. That is how my brain, I lost it because it was like, in my memory, how I've always dealt with eidetic memory stuff is I file memories away into into folders, and then those folders go into a filing cabinet. And it's also like a movie scene out of the X-Files, where you've got you got all those that warehouse filled with files, filing cabinets, one filing cabinet after another. Only mine is not dark, and mine goes straight to the ceiling, and you can literally rise and get what you need and float back down and get what you need at the bottom and go to whatever. Anyway, so I just haven't pulled those memories up because I'm like, why do I need it? So it gets put in. There's a lot of minutia that happens on a daily basis, so it gets filed completely different. This is how I've always been. Um, so sorry, I'm trying to figure out where the hell the dog went. Anyway, um, so being a psychic and growing up like that, and then having um, a father, a biological father who, uh, gee, some people are going to have a hard time with this, tried to kill my mom, unalive her. It's probably, hello, can't use the words. Um, but that's what he tried to do. And he was an alcoholic, and he, and then she left and ran. And so my mom and I we had quite a life. I've had quite an interesting life, to say the least. And now you bring in the ETs into this, and being on board ship, and it is a hell of an eye-opener and realization to go through your entire life and live out your regular, it's just a regular life. And then boom, you start having flashbacks and memories of, and it is a hell of a thing. I mean, it's just really a hell of an eye-opener regarding how all of this just plays out. And then you're remembering, you've had a block on one memory because, hello, ETs are very freaking good at certain races. I should be very specific. You can't lump all races of ET as, oh, because one race of ET does this, they all do it. Bullshit. That is not how it works. So not all races of ET are telepathic. I had to learn that one the hard way, and I'm not going into that. But the point being is that the ones that can do it are very good at it, and they're very good at putting what are called screen memories and locking out, or blocking out, not locking out, blocking out certain other memories. They're also very good at accessing a human's higher consciousness. And that is a mind bender amongst itself. That alone is a hell of a thing. They can truly F with the human brain in such a way. Like yesterday when I did my live, I'm not on every day, so I'm usually on Thursday nights at 7 p.m. I've been doing a show for 3 years, or I hate calling them a show. I did that out of, because everybody else calls them shows. It's a live broadcast. This is talking about my experiences as an ET abductee. This is talking, and there's a difference between at the word abductee and contactee. You need to make that recognition. Contactee usually has more positive connotations to it, whereas abductee has a lot of negative connotations to it. So I have been abducted by 3 different groups. Okay. There's a lot more than ETs out there that are abducting. Okay. Um, and it's like talk about it's a real mind bender and a real mind boggler, and it's hard to wrap your head around. And let me tell you, the subject that I was talking about before all of this tech issue shit started happening, really is an even bigger mind bender for a lot of people. And those in ufology that are experiencers, they're like, oh, that's nothing new. I've experienced that and more. And so everybody is different, but a lot of people accept it. And then you get family members who, I have a cousin who told me recently, then believe, essentially, that's not how they put it, but essentially with the words that they told me, they don't believe in psychics. They don't believe in. I'm like, that's fine. Everybody has their own things that they want to believe in and not believe in, and how they want to. I get that. I don't care what you believe in. I mean, personally, I'm when I hit like 48, 47, 48, I no longer gave two shits about what people started thinking of me anymore. Um, it's real. This information is my experiences. Whether you choose to believe them or not, that's fine. That's your prerogative. You have every right to believe whatever you want to believe. I do get a little annoyed at times when I come across information that I know is blatantly not true. And especially when I have worked with the hierarchies and the angels, have met Jesus himself, that was a mind bender, let alone unexpectedly met God because I was crossing over spirits who wanted to be crossed over. That was a mind bender. The fact that I've had um, hierarchies show up on demand because of an emergency crisis on a group of psychics that we were working together in a situation to help somebody. Uh, that was a mind bender. To see what I can only classify as demon dogs, that, oh, you want to talk about an experience. Holy F balls. I didn't even know. Wow. I was just like, what the hell do you say to that? What the hell do you do? I mean, really, what do you do? What do you say? You're like, what now? Oh my god, what the hell was that? um, it truly becomes too much sometimes. And the folks that I live with, they're like, my God, does this ever stop for you? And I'm like, no. I wake up. I used to wake up before the targeting because I've been targeted by U.S. government direct energy weapons. That's a whole nother subject. And beef and microwave technology and infrared technology and all of that shit. I've received it. I've been on the receiving end of it, and then it's been very fucking painful when your skin feels like it's burning and you look like, and it's winter time and you look bright red. Like right now, I'm bright red simply because I recently ate. I am a little on the overheated side, but that's all explainable. But when you are targeted with infrared, direct energy weapon, microwave technology, your skin burns and you look like you've been under radiation burns. I mean, I look like I had a flaming hot sunburn. And it was very specific. Matter of fact, I had blisters in the process of forming on my ears and on parts of my head. Not fun. Um, and that's a surefire way to piss anybody off. That's on the receiving end of it. My point is that I used to wake up where I had anywhere from 5 to 15, well, usually 12, anywhere from 5 to 12. That's where I really need to say it. I have had up to 15 spirits standing at the foot of my bed, yapping at each other, having a nice little chatty circle. And I'm like laying in bed going, get in the process of minorly starting to wake up. And there are times where that just gets old really freaking fast. And you literally, oh, not again. And you get to the point where you ignore them, but then you have days where it just gets so old that you literally scream at them. And your home is dead silent except for you screaming at the spirits. That's always fun. Are you okay? Yeah, I got spirits talking. They won't shut the fuck up. So I've gone from that to where now I wake up and I get songs, all different kinds of music thrown in my head, and I'm like, and it's not me. I mean, I've trained because of the ETs and the training that I've had all these years. I've learned early on how to not have self-talk, because self-talk, when you deal with ETs, is very offensive to them because they are almost always telepathic. Around humans, they are almost always telepathic, and they can hear everything you think. Everything. So there is no such thing as private thought. So you learn very quickly to shut your frickin' mouth in your head. No self-talk. And it's just, it gets very interesting very quickly. So that's a 42-minute thing, information as to who I am, what I am, what my life is like. I still get, by the time I get out of bed and get into the bathroom to do my morning routine, you're like everybody's morning routine, get it, pee and wash hands and go do your day. By the time I'm walking into the bathroom, I'm getting spirits talking to me, telling me names, telling me different information, having, I've had serial killers come talk to me. I've had very famous people come talk to me. I've had a lot of different experiences, and some so famous they're in political society, government type of thing. I've had victims of serial killers come to talk to me. I've had, it's just, it's been a mind bender to say the least, and now it's so second nature. And I came out publicly. I talked about this with a number of my friends who've known, really close friends who I consider family. Started talking to them in 2016 about, I'm thinking possibly about coming out publicly. Do you really want to do that? I mean, we had a number of conversations about that, because what all that means, what all that, I'm being reminded to say that I don't charge. I do not. I do not make money off of it. There are reasons for that. There's some very valid reasons for that. And my belief belief system and different things of that nature, but I don't, I'm not negative about anybody who does charge for it. I know some very, very good psychics. Quite a few of my friends over the last, since 2018, since I came out, quite a few of my friends are psychic mediums, energy workers, and I've got a dear friend who we call him the human MRI because that's exactly what he is. He can see into the body and he can tell you exactly what's going on. I've been on a number of teams with psychics, all doing different things. I've done astral work. I've had that, if you don't know, the U.S. government has CIA agents who are psychics, who or some who are not psychics, but most of them can go into astral, and that's always fun, especially when you get one of those MFers coming into your home uninvited, because my home is my domain, my territory. You don't F with somebody's personal space, in my opinion, and they will at any given time, and I call major issue with that. So that all said, that is a lot of experiences. That is what's gone on. Now I'm going to get 46 minutes into this, so I'm going to go back in. Trace, if you're still here, let me know, please. Amy, if you're around, please let me know. Some of the other long timers, please let me know if you're still around. Artun, please say hello if you found me again. So yeah, just getting back into this. So I was talking about the Lyrans and how I found out that there are a species of Lyran, a subsection of Lyran. Make sure that's connected. There we go. And they're known as the Loborians. And I was talking about the fact that they are shapeshifters, and how you tell the difference between a Lyran and a Loborian is the fact, sorry, I'm keeping an eye on the dog, is the fact that the Loborians, their nails, when they shapeshift, their nails, their claws, when they're in their regular normal form, their claws go from a regular cat claw right back into their fingers, straight down. Okay, somebody's calling bullshit. That's fine. I don't care. That's your opinion. This is my life. This is what I've experienced. That's fine. I don't care if you call bullshit. You don't have to stick around if you call bullshit, but if you find this fascinating, stick around. Hit the like, share, and subscribe button. Find out what else I talk about. Because I talk about everything regarding the ETs and the information that I know. I even talk about secret space program and a lot of other information. Things that the government is doing, whether we choose to believe that they are doing it or not. Things that I have personally experienced, personally witnessed, personally been a part of, under great duress, and not of my choosing. Not part of my soul contract either, let me put it that way. And that's a real game changer and a real pisser of life. So yeah. I also talk about why I'm targeted. So anyhow, so the Loborians, are much bigger and broader in shoulder. I've seen the short ones run about 7.5 feet tall, but typically they're 8-9 foot tall. The felines are short. The females of that race are slightly shorter, 8.5 feet tall. The males are about 9 feet, 9.5 feet tall, usually 9, from what I've seen, what I've witnessed. I've only ever seen one who was a male shapeshift in front of me. And that freaked me out beyond description. Really freaked me out. Quite badly, in fact. The other part of that is it freaked me out even more so when he showed me that he changed halfway between his Loborian, his feline being into humanistic form, and where the claws, the feline, the cat claws came out and retracted. That really did a number on me. Then that same year, I found out how old this specific one was. This specific one was 2,500 years old. He looked like he was 35 when he was in his human form. Took me 10 months, about 10 months. The first month I was just like, no, this is not fucking, whoop, this is not real. It's not real. No, no, no. Even all my experiences as an ET abducted, this is not real. No, 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 no. I went into denial. It was not fun. And I got told by other ETs, yes, it is real. You have to understand. It is real. You have to understand this aspect and what all this means. And it's very significant. And so, yeah, it was a hell of a mind bender. The human brain, what we know about our sciences, that was the other thing that has really flipped me out. Our human sciences, regarding the military, regarding, and I'm not just talking US government, I'm talking global governments. Global governments have technology that are at least 100 years advanced. Okay, I just got told to say 75 years. 75 years plus advanced than what we have now. And in some regards, it's way more than that. It's close to 150. Okay. Close to 120, 130 years. Better? Pardon me. Yeah, okay. They're calming their shit down now. All right. So basically, God, you guys really threw me off when you did that. Basically a long time. And it's not put out into, some of it is slowly being put out. Some of the newer stuff is slowly starting to be put out into the public domain, into the public knowledge. And some of the things that I've seen, jump rooms are real. Mars base is real. Whether you want to believe that or not, I don't care what you want to believe. I'm telling you my experiences. I have people that I know that have recognized me. Um, things that I'm having trigger memories over now. Clones are real. They've been doing clones for more than 30 years. I got screamed at by a military officer, high-ranking military officer, I might add. Trying to remember, somewhere between 7 to 9 of us standing in a row. And we got screamed at by this high-ranking military officer, very well known, actually, military officer. He's long retired now. And yeah, I can name names. They don't want me naming names. I have yet to talk to an attorney, because that attorney that I talked to, they're going to have the names, and those names will be locked away until after I probably die. But I don't know. I haven't figured that out yet either. There are some very serious connotations to that, because there's 3 high-ranking U.S. military officers that I could name quite easily, in fact, who were part of the U.S. Mars base, underground Mars base. And yeah, it's a number of ETs working there. So he's been waiting for you to come back, and I'm still alive. So anyhow, what else? Oh, that's what I was going to say regarding the clones. So I got screamed at, me and the others got screamed at, that because we saved lives and they didn't want the lives saved, that the clones cost $380 million per. Well, think about how many people are being... U.S. is abducting, as are other countries. They're using specific race of ET to do the abductions. Now that's my experience. Other people have very different experiences to where they actually have military officers abducting them. Human military officers abducting them. So there's that. You want to talk about nefarious shit? Figure out what the hell's happening with the children. I can't even go there right now. I'm going to start bawling. I get really upset over that. And what's being done with the kids. I had a cattle prod. The only thing that I can classify it as was a metal rod. It was like a cattle prod into my ribs, into my back, at 8 years old, by a military officer. So yeah, I have had quite a interesting life, and quite honestly, I don't think I would have survived it if it hadn't have been for a lot of the blocks that the Arcturian race of ET that had put me into, that had been abducting me my entire life, that had been putting me into the hybridization program. And I don't think I would have mentally survived going through my teenage years, knowing what I had known. Psychic is one thing. ET abductee, completely different ball game. It was a completely different mind bender to me. It was more than I could ever even conceive of or handle. And it's interesting how my family, my mom, my grandfather, her dad, my grandfather, my step-grandmother, my biological grandmother, a number of great aunts and uncles, well, specifically great uncles, who were all very interested in not only sciences, history, ufology, long list of things, long list of things. And so it makes life and living a very interesting series of events and situations, to say the least. Hang on. I don't have any lip balm with me right now, otherwise I'd be doing the lips. Because I usually get the lips because I get dry and tired. So anyway, so as an ET abductee, I've seen a great deal in my 57 years. And there's so much more to sciences than what the average or even well above average college student is learning about, the medical community is learning about. We have things, when you talk about government and United Nations and their narratives about what's going on this planet, be real careful. Pay attention. Do your research. Do extensive amount of research when you find something. Even when you find something out about this, and the fact of, you can look at, there's a show called Spaced Out Radio. The owner of it is Dave Scott. Yeah, there are information that he puts out, that he has folks on there from all different walks of life and all different aspects of paranormal, ufology, you name it. It's not just a podcast on YouTube, it's also a radio show on quote unquote terrestrial radio, AM, FM radio. There's, I've dealt with Bigfoot. There's that as well. Bigfoot, aka Sasquatch. There's, let me see if I can find some of the links to that. There, come on, where are you not calling it? Thank you. Oh, and you went to a site I didn't want. Okay. Somebody else that deals with all kinds of, okay, so Bigfoot, Michigan Rob. There's, I always get you confused with Duke. Come on, little fingers. There we go. Go down. Oh, Duke, I don't remember your show name right now. It's been a while since I've checked it out. There's Lee Strauss on Ander and Lee on, oh God, let me, Ander and Lee on the Trail. It's another YouTube channel. Lee also does Element 115 on Spaced Out Radio. Come on, fingers. Let's see. You have the Australian ladies, Anne and Renata of Frightfully Good. They do a really great paranormal show. Man, I'm not finding what I'm looking for right now. I can't think of Duke's last name at this second. Duke Sullivan, thank you. My dad just gave me that name. And just an FYI, if you have issues with a parent, because hello, I had significant issues with my dad. Before a couple years before he died, he got into AA. and started doing the 12 steps and started working on making amends. And then after he died, we had a lot to work on. And you can actually work through it. He became a spirit guide of mine. That's a whole nother subject. And let me tell you, that was not an easy thing for me. But we worked out a lot of stuff after he died. So Bigfoot, Michigan, Rob. I'm on a show on Wednesday nights called the S4 Bunker, also known as the S4 Paranormal Bunker. Wow, I am having a brain fart. I'm not the Duke Sullivan of... Okay, I'm going to have to call this up. Let's see, Duke Sullivan. Okay. World Bigfoot TV. Oh, good grief. Okay, so World Bigfoot Central is the name of his YouTube show. Quality individual guys. So you want information on that? There's a number of people that I know. So anyhow, have met or know of or things of that nature. So and that's why I put different things on my file folders so that you guys on my channel, so that you guys can actually see and follow different people. Then you've got like Geraldine Orozco, which of course now I can't think of all the stuff that she does, but she does a huge amount. You've got I got a brain fart going on now. I can't think of her name. Oh my god, and I know you. Holy hell. Oh, Miesha Johnston. And I don't remember her thing right now, but Miesha Johnston, Melinda Leslie, Jessica Jones of the Cryptid Huntress. There's just a long list of people that are trustworthy in the community and in people that you can look up and ask for help from. Another one regarding, I lost her name again. Can't think of her name. I was going to say regarding Bigfoot. Oh my god, that's going to drive me nuts. Anyway, that's all right. That's just one of those things. Let's see if I can call her up on my playlist because it's driving me batty. Oh, Brian Tseng, Tseng, has got a lot of really good information as well. Lorien Fenton, if I didn't mention her name already. Varla Ventura has a lot of really good info. R. Keith Andrews, I mentioned him before. Where the hell are the rest of my playlist? What the heck? Oh, Sasquatch, yeah, 17. Where are you? Ron Moorehead, regarding the Sierra Sounds. Dr. Jeff Meldrum. I'm still not finding who I'm looking for at this second. God, I cannot. I just got a major brain fart going on here. It's just driving me nuts. Anyway, so my point is that just on spaced out radio all the time too, and it's just, that's not cool that I'm not remembering this, but that's all right. That's the short-term memory that they were trying to get rid of my long-term memory because they don't want me talking about the frickin' book. Government book that has everything under the sun about ufology in it that I know about. I know about it because I had my hands on it when I was a teenager and read it. So that's another story. Okay, I'm gonna have to go to, because this is not cool. I'm not finding. Anyway, that's life. So, yeah, you guys have a lot of different opportunity if you are enjoying information from me. Yes, Cryptid Huntress. See, I'm not being shown on here, but when I look it up on here, interesting. Governor, like a governor. Yes. Okay. See, I didn't see any of these. Everything stops after Bramble does this. That's it. I'm not seeing any of the other messages coming through. So I'm glad and Christine is here. Awesome. And Amy is here. Awesome. Good deal. Yeah, The Shining. Yes, thank you. Fedora. Yep. You were there. Okay. The asshats. Yes. Okay. So anyway, there's a lot of people that are in the communities, ufology, cryptids, all of that. Look up a lot of the people that I've talked about. Think about what is taking place across this planet. Think about the negative narrative that's going on. Was a fedora? No, Trace, you're asking. Okay, so Trace is asking, the hat the spirit was wearing, was it a fedora at your grandmother's? No, it was a baseball cap. I'm trying to figure out anything. Yeah. Yeah, this is crazy that I'm not seeing any of the chat on my phone, but yet I'm seeing that. I wonder if that has to do with chat filter all messages. That's what I want. All messages. Why are you not? Okay, well, that's interesting. It's not showing any others. And thankfully I've got all this up again. So anyway, Trace, Amy, and Christine, can you remind me where I left off yesterday? We were going to talk about the ETs. The hybrids. We were talking about hybrids. Okay, that's God. It's been a week in my household, guys. It's been quite a week. Hybrids, yes, thank you. Okay, I gotta get rid of this. It's gonna drive me nuts. There we go. So regarding the hybrids, if you're in a hybridization program, for me, they started me at 13. Firstborn, well, first. So I was 13. So my birthday's at the end of February. They started me at 13 at the end of the year. And by the time I turned 14, shortly after I turned 14, they removed the infant from me and put it into a container on board ship. one of their containers at that time. Now remember, I was born in 68. Excuse me, the gestational process of the hybrids. So they is a number of months. However long that the infant is in the mother's womb is how long the infant will stay in a container. At least that is my experience. My personal experience with my hybrids. They stay in that, and then you're reabducted the day that they are birthed, and it goes from that where you reconnect with your infant and you have a circadian rhythm bonding moment where you have you're in a suit and then you're not, and like from the waist up you're butt ass naked basically, and the infant is usually given to you and placed over, and you place, and you, by the time I've been through this so many times, the infant is placed over your heart. And back then our hearts were like right here. They were not right here like everybody talks about now. It's a whole other Mandela effect. So the infant is placed over the heart, and with almost every one of my hybrids the ones that I remember, because I don't remember all of my kids, because I've got 30 hybrids. I was recently told that that's the largest number that somebody that I know that has been in the ufology field for over 30 years is like, that's the most, you can't possibly have that. And I'm like, yeah, actually I do. I've been told that by a number of psychics, and I've been actually, when I started questioning the ETs about it, they're like, yes, you do. What else? So anyway, I've been, and now 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31. So I've got 31, sorry. I had to think about that a second. Anyway, so I've got 31. And my last one was the strongest out of all of them. So the process, that's what I wanted to talk about, is the mother and fathers about this. It's a really, really big deal. Some folks are not started in hybridization until they're in their late teens. Some aren't started until they're an adult. Me, I've been abducted since, well, from what I remember, toddlerhood, but I'm remembering a bit more than that. I've been told I've been watched while my mother was pregnant with me. I've been told by the hierarchies, by my spirit guides, that I've been watched while I was in my mother's womb. So I've been watched by the ETs and kept an eye on and all of that stuff. So now the ones that are in the that are doing the hybridization with me, the specific ones, because there are many different hybridization groups. Okay. It's not just the Arcturians, Arcturian. Yes, that's correct. I always goof up the, because I'm dyslexic, I always goof up the A and the I at the end. So anyway, so basically they started taking my genetic material around 11, actually around 9. There are a number of factors in hybridization that women need to pay attention to. Things like early menstrual cycles, PCOS, heavy cycles, unusual body situations, early aged, early menstruation, early periods, things of that nature. I mean, like really early, like 9 years old early, 8, 7, 8, 9 years old early. Things of that nature. So those are things you need to be aware of that are in the that are part of being an ET abductee. I'm not saying every woman that has ever had that will be experiencing that, but many do. There's quite a large number that do. There's a number of people that are making that correlation now. People who are doing forms of counseling. It's very rare to find a counselor that will actually openly deal with an ET abductee. There are very few psychologists who will deal with it, let alone psychiatrists. They will outright think you're balls out frickin' Looney Tunes. So, you've got to be extremely careful in who you talk to. And then you've got the marks, the abduction marks. And the abduction marks can be anywhere from, or anything from scoop marks on a body, usually on arms and legs, not very often on torso, but you will get it on torso. I have triangular marks that I call ET tramp stamps because I get so frustrated. And for me, the ones that do the triangle marks are the ETs that deal with global governments. Now, I've been told that's not always the case, but I also know that in my situation and a number of other people that I know that are very well-known abductees, that's their situation. So I don't know if it's a 50-50. I don't know what the ratio is of people who have those triangle little stamp. They look like little stamp tattoo marks. I had one, you can't even see it now. I had one. It almost looks like now after a year and a half or whatever it's been. Yeah, I do. Oh, and the other thing is take your pictures. If you're an abductee, there we go. If you're an abductee, one of the things to consider is take pictures of your body, of the area, make sure that the picture is as crystal clear as you can get it, to the point to where you can, when you enlarge the picture, you can see your frickin' pores, okay? You want clear images. Scoop marks, scratches that you don't normally have, and you don't have like Ehlers-Danlos, or you don't have things to where you're or you're ADHD or autistic, you don't have those situations to where you're bumping into things unexpectedly. I'm not talking about those kinds of marks. I'm talking about you go to bed one night, you don't have scratches on you, anywhere on you, and you wake and you haven't gotten up in the middle of the night to pee or to have a bowel movement, and you wake up the following morning and you have marks on you, for God's sake, get your camera, take pictures. That's your evidence. Because I'm here to tell you, as an abductee, those marks do not last very long because of the technology. Yeah. Big sigh from Puppy Dog. the technology that the ETs are using, those marks will not last. Sometimes you'll be lucky if they last 6 hours. Sometimes you'll be lucky if they last 18. So one of the things that I talked about is how, sorry, I just had a running thought about my setup on YouTube. Sorry, it just, out of whatever reason that popped in my head for. One of the things you need to watch out for are like surgery marks. I've had friends, hell, I've experienced surgery marks. I had human medical carpal tunnel, excuse the bruise. It's from puppy dog and me colliding the other day and it doesn't hurt. And I still can't figure out what the frick that's from. Anyway, I had carpal tunnel surgery by a human doctor, okay? On my right wrist. Left wrist, the following year, the ETs did one. I have carpal tunnel. I used to be an advocate. I used to type extensively. I mean, long stretches, 92 words a minute. I went from 72 words a minute to 92 words a minute because I was doing it every single day, multiple hours a day, and I picked up speed, and I was just typing like crazy. Ouch. Typing like crazy. And I've got carpal tunnel from the tips of my fingers up into, and it's been tested, been medically tested. So they didn't want me losing my abilities with my hands. And so they did carpal tunnel on my left wrist. And that scar lasted for about 12 to 15 hours, if that. And it was a doozy of a scar, okay? Do I have pictures of it? Yes, I do. Do I know where they're at right now? Hell no. I know I've got them. They're stored away. They're locked away. Do I know where it's at? Yes. Am I going to access it for you right now? Hell no. Take way too frickin' long to find it. It's a whole nother subject. But document if you're an ET abductee or even suspect you are. Document everything. Write journal notes. Do you know how many of these effers I go through yearly? Oh, write journal notes. It is worth your weight in gold. Because when you make journal notes like that, date and time everything on those notes, because that date, that time will come into play later on in your life. This is how I figured out that in my abductions with this one specific race of ET, the Arcturians, who are working with what I call the tall grays. They're not really the tall grays, but that's what I call them because they literally are 7 feet tall. And believe me, I've measured. Here's the other thing you can do. Put blue painter's tape at the 7 foot, at the 5 foot, 7 foot, 8 foot, and 9 foot mark around your home. You ever see one of them walking through a wall, a door, a window, whatever, and they pass by any one of those blue markers, you'll know and remember, hopefully, remember to come back and go, that's how tall they were. Okay? This is how you can make determinations in your own personal life. You can do this without anyone ever recognizing that you're doing it. If you don't want to use painter's tape, find a creative, artistic way for a little wall paint that can be easily covered up later, especially if you're in an apartment or a rental of some kind. Think about that. So, what was I going to say? short-term memory. So the tall grays, that's what I was going to say. The tall grays, they're 7 feet tall. They have the body shape of a tall gray, no hair whatsoever, the shape of a gray. So you've got that kind of like pointed chin, oval, egg-like type head, a little bit larger than egg-like head, large almond eyes with the black contacts in. Because when they remove their contacts, the ones that I have seen have blue eyes. And because of working with art for so many years throughout my life, I went looking for the color that we have on Earth, and the closest color that I could come up with out of all the colors I looked at was, I was just about to say circadian rhythm, cerulean blue. God, Nikki. Cerulean blue. Bloody hell. All right, so anyway, and you'll hear a lot of language out of me, so if that offends you, I do apologize. But cerulean blue is the color of their eyes. They have irises. There are certain races of ET where I've seen the entire eyeball completely blue. That's another ballgame altogether. So, what else was I going to say? So they're not spindly, and they are strong as, really strong. Incredibly strong. It is amazing how strong they are. And, the other thing I learned, the other thing that I learned from, I have another brain fart. Having a lot of those right now, that's not cool. By any frickin' stretch of the imagination. God, and I am just like wired at the moment. I'm like, it's like somebody has pumped me up. It's like, it's different energy than, it's kind of like what the hierarchies do to me when they put me into that's another subject. Anyway, so there's a lot of subjects tonight. I'm bouncing all over the frickin' place. I do apologize. But regarding the ETs, so that's why I call them the tall whites, because their skin is so pale gray that even 2 feet away, they look like they're white. But they're actually a form of a gray. That's why I call them the tall whites, because from a distance, they look like they're white. With black almond eyes. Only large black almond eyes. So the hybrids, and so anyway, those tall whites are the ones that do the abductions for the Arcturians. They're also the same race or species or whatever of alien or extraterrestrial who do the abductions for the governments of this world. Just know that. Excuse me. And they may be from the same family, they may not be. But I know this. The ones that work with the governments do not like the ones of the same race who do the abductions for the hybrid programs. For the consortium. They do not like them at all. No. Big deal. Yeah, the anger level. And it's interesting because they're not emotional, but there is a feeling that comes off of them if you even bring them up, bring up the ones that work with the Arcturians that are part of the consortium. Everybody else that I know calls them, oh, the Galactic Light Council. Not as I know them as, baby. I know them as the consortium. I call BS on galactic whatever, because that is not how I know them as. But, you know, that's fine. Everybody else knows them as this one. Fine, okay. But they don't, there is a feeling that comes off of the ones that abduct me, that are regarding the global governments. And, excuse me, and I can only classify it as anger, because that is the sensation of it. I mean, it is really intense. Really intense. There's a lot of dislike. And I would even say classify it as hatred. The interesting thing is that I had... Okay, I gotta think about this a second. Excuse me. I had 4 hybrids ago. So a few years ago. I think about that. So 4 hybrids ago, the ETs, the Arcturians, decided to do the genetic makeup to where they started trying human emotions back into the genetic material. Because I call it splicing and dicing. You got to remember, remember 4 years old, being wrapped around, literally wrapping my arms and my legs around, because I was such a busy little kid, had to know everything, had to do everything. What's this? What's that? What's this? Asked a lot of questions. Used to go all over the place, and the one way that they corralled me, you gonna come and sit down, you gonna sit on my foot, you gonna wrap your legs and your arms around my leg, which is one of the reasons why I know up close what their skin really looks like. Anyway, point is that that's how they corralled me as a 4-year-old kid. I had to sit my ass down on the ground while the ET was up there doing the splicing and dicing of genetic material. And I would be asking all kinds of questions, and he was being telepathic with me and telling me a lot of information, much of which I don't remember, some of which I do remember. But that all said, that was really when I started learning about how, and that's one of the reasons why I called it splicing and dicing, because that's how I remember it being told to me, because he was using language I didn't understand as a 4-year-old. I was like, what's that? What does that mean? And so he finally started putting it into terminology that this little kid at 4 years old could understand. And so anyway, so he was one of the, what I call the tall whites. But actually he was an Arcturian. And yeah. So I've got two, here we go, guys. It's going to be hard for some people. I've got 2 male ETs who are very much, I've only ever talked about one, but I've got 2 who are very much like a father figure to me. And what I talked about on my podcast last night, because this is supposed to be a 2-parter. Now it's essentially a 3-parter because, hello, I got shut down. and had to go to my phone in order to make sure that I could be live and talking about this. I don't know if it was actually me getting shut down or if it was truly internet issue, but I was talking about the Loborians, and right then and there, I got shut down. So anyhow, but yeah, we were talking yesterday about all the different things with the different races of ET and Loborians and versus Lyran, and how I found out the difference between the two. And I rarely talk about the Arcturian. Well, actually, I've talked more about, I'm going to think about it, I've talked more about the tall white that is more representative to me, like a father figure. One of the things that I said yesterday is that last night, that I have made a realization, and this is a process, folks. You have to understand, this is a lifelong process to fully wrap your head around all of this shit. Because it is. It's like, it's a lot of information, and sometimes it is just a lot of shit because you're experiencing so much and trying to process so much. So basically, even though they blocked a lot of my memories, and I personally blocked a lot of my memories because I had a situation when I was 7 years old that scared the ever 11 bejesus out of me, and I shut down, and I stopped at 7 years old seeing, psychically seeing the way I was seen, because I was totally and completely terrified of this one ET, and which is understandable. Although she was very loving and very caring, I hurt her deeply, but she also terrified the ever loving F out of me, because I had begged and pleaded. We don't need to get into that right now. Anyway, I just did. I know. But these ETs I've known my entire life. And it's only recently that I've really realized that not only was I raised by my human family, I was also partially raised on ship by these certain groups of ET. It never registered with, after all these years, it never freaking registered with me. And it never registered with me how all of this comes into play with the ETs. When you are a lifelong ET abductee and you've got a group of ET who are, where you do have this specific group of ET, I do have a soul contract with them for hybridization. I understand that now. I fully understand that now. But the other group of ET that works with government, I absolutely do not have a soul contract with them, although I have since learned that I have an NDA signed with them. I'm not going to get into that tonight. Anyway, that's a whole nother subject, and pisses me the F off. And I'm like, me personally, I have not agreed to that at all. Pisses me off up one side, down the other, and around the bend a few times. Can't begin to tell you how badly that pisses me off regarding what the government has done and has in their possession regarding ET and what they're already doing with the ETs. I can't even begin to tell you. So the point is that here you've got soul contract with, or you get soul contract with one and not a soul contract with another, and not a soul contract with the first group that are the ones that just willy-nilly frickin' picked you and your mom up off the frickin' freeway. So in your 1972 Econoline green van that we called the Big Bertha, So, and the wheels are still spinning on the vehicle, and you're a little kid in the passenger seat, and your mother's driving, and the two of you are basically screaming in your heads, and neither one of you can hear each other. And then the next thing you know, you can hear each other. You can telepathically hear each other. And she's sitting there, and I'm like, and you can't move. All you can do is the eyes. The eyes can move, but nothing else can move. That's a mind bender. And then here's the other thing, when I've had ETs outside my bedroom wall and they're talking to each other, they talk in clicks. The only one that I've ever come across in a TV show or a movie that is even remotely close to it is there's an episode of Star Trek, Next Generation. And it's where the character Riker and Worf and a couple of others are talking with the counselor Troy about what they were abducted by somebody, a race of ET in another dimension, and they were being pulled out. And it's a whole nother subject. But that was a triggering moment. When I first heard that, I internally panicked and I shut down. Matter of fact, I shut down for about 24 hours. I had a little kid at that time, and I was having a hard time. Actually, that was one of the days where I said, "Hey, I need to do in trade babysitting, whatever you need, but I need you to watch my kid for the day." And I basically curled up on the couch and just rocked back and forth. I was just like this for a good portion of the day. I made sure my kid was okay, and he was off playing and having a good time with his friend and our family friend, and I got, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I will be. I just need this moment. And I took care of myself. I don't know what I would have done if my friend hadn't have been able to watch my kid at that given moment in time. But I had to take care of me, and I knew that my kid needed to be taken care of, obviously. And so I was like, so we worked something out. I don't even remember what we worked out. I just remember we worked something out and did an in trade daycare day, basically. And he had a day of play, and I was like, okay, this is what I need to do. And it took me all day to basically recover of what I was feeling, and I didn't understand it. It made no logical sense to me back then. Um, I just knew that something was wrong, and something was triggered in me, and I didn't know what it was. And and it wasn't until years and years and years later that all of this just boom exploded, because I was triggered, and I was in a safe enough time frame in my life to where it was okay. And then what really brought it out after that incident with the Butterfly Nebula, that I knew as the Infinity Galaxy because of the extraterrestrials. That's what they had told me it was. That's what they classified it as. Well, that was 1972 or 73. 1972. And about a month later, I woke up, oddly enough, recognizing that I was coming back through a wall and through part of glass. I was butt ass naked, and I was shaking. My teeth were chattering and shaking really bad. And that's actually what truly woke me up. It was winter time, It was nice and warm in my apartment at the time. And I had a very large Vornado, which is a name brand of a fan in the United States. I had a very large Vornado fan aimed up at my ceiling so that it would hit the ceiling and circulate the warm air the way I wanted it to. And not from the vent that it was coming out of, but the way I wanted it, or not the vent, the wall thing. Anyway, point is that it was circulating the warm air. But when I came through the wall and my teeth were chattering, I was consciously breaking whatever um, thing that the ETs had on me. And I was breaking that link. I didn't know that at the time, but that's essentially what I was doing and what was happening to me. And in the process of doing that, I realized I can't move. Why can't I move? I can't open my eyes. I'm breathing. I'm chattering. I'm ice cold. I am to the point to where I am bone cold. This was December, dead of winter in the Seattle region. That year, I'd have to look. I'd have to look back again because I don't remember it this very second. But that winter, it was we had gone through snow and we were in a lull to where we didn't have. But so I mean, it was cold out. We're talking like somewhere between 23 and 26, 28 degrees, 23 to 28 degrees out at the time. And I was butt ass naked coming in from being really high up in on this ship and coming down. I felt myself coming down in air. The air was ice freaking cold. I have choice words for that, but that's beside the point. And went through the wall and part of the glass, which is grating on the bottom, going through glass when you're in that form, because they literally put you into a frequency form to where you can go through walls. It's a whole nother subject. It's a whole nother subject. And I went right over the Vornado fan. And that's what really woke me up. I was already in the process of waking up, but the shock of directly going over that Vornado fan about 6 feet in the air, which meant that I would have been close to the frickin' ceiling because that Vornado fan was sitting on a 2.5 foot tall, it wasn't a bucket at the time. I had it on a stand. It was on a, I can't think of what it's called. It's a tray. Not a tray. It was a little stand that I used near my bed. Okay. It's about 2.5 feet tall. And it was sitting on top of that. Because at one time it was on a bucket. It was on a tall, like a Costco size laundry detergent bucket. And then I had moved it to this stand tray thing. Anyway, point being, I went straight over it, which means that I would have been 6 feet above that fan with the way that the fan energy was going. I went right about, I mean, my brain, I went like that. I was wide the fuck awake and I was pissed. And I'm like, what's happening to me? What the fuck is happening to me? And I can't move. They are not okay, apparently I just lost Okay, hang on a second. I need to be sure. Am I still live? Okay. Yeah, apparently I'm still alive. That was bizarre. I just had a complete glitch in the link. Ba-dum-bum. Anyway, so I was wide awake and I was pissed. But for whatever reason, somehow I instinctively knew I was around ETs, even though I was questioning and I was angry, and the anger was building. And all of a sudden, I'm feeling myself starting to go just, well, no, because actually what took place first, I had to stretch because it was like I had just gotten woken up. And when you just get woken up, some people have to stretch. Well, I had to stretch. All of a sudden, I had to stretch, and I stretched my legs out because apparently, even though I was flat, I don't know, I don't remember how my arms were, but I was flat, and the next thing I know, but yet I was not completely flat. My feet went down like this. So my feet were up. My feet went down like this as I'm stretching, and my toes went like that. And I gripped something. I didn't have anything at the end of my bed. What the F was I gripping onto? At this point, I'm about 3 feet above my bed. What the hell am I gripping onto? And I gripped on, and basically what I realized was that I was gripping on, my toes were gripping really hard because I felt something firm. It was like this. I was gripping full on to the point of, and that's when I was pissed. I mean, I was wide awake and I was pissed. They were not releasing me. And there was no sound in my room other than the fan going. And I've got a hold of something solid at the end of my bed, and there's not a damn thing at the end of my bed. And I'm going, what the is that? You talk about being woken up consciously to ETs. That's when it really registered with me. And somehow I released, because I wasn't releasing that. And I could not get my eyes, I could not get my eyelids to open because they had complete control of that section. They didn't want me to see. And so here I have the toes completely grabbed on. Basically, I was grabbing on to the ET shoulder because they were in the process of lowering me, and he was bent over. And I know it was a male because I could feel the energy. And he was bent over. And I had gripped really solidly, and I had gripped flesh to where so, for example, I'm going to take this toilet paper roll. So, for example, you've got, and I gripped hard enough to where I literally gripped flesh. And I would not let go, and my toenails were going in. And they literally pulled me off, and my toenails were still in a grip. That was what truly woke me up consciously as to me truly being ET abducted. And at that moment in time, I felt my body go underneath my sheets. I felt underneath my blankets, underneath the sheet, and into my clothing. And I was completely back in bed. And the second my back was on that bed, because I wasn't physically on the bed. The second they released me, I was about that far off my bed. The second I fell onto my bed and they fully released me, my eyes flew open. I flipped off the blanket and the sheet, and I went flying out of that bed. And the first thing I grabbed was my old phone. Grabbed this old MFer. And I started taking pictures. I was like, what the was in my room? And who the hell are you? Because I could still feel them. And they were out. I mean, they went so fast out of that room. They didn't stick around. I was livid. Absolutely freaking livid. And that was when I started screaming, you took me out butt ass naked into 26-degree weather, and you're gonna make me sick by doing that. I was pissed. I was more than just pissed at being abducted. I was pissed at being taken out butt ass naked and all this shit. So, and that was a very short amount of time in the grand scheme of things, right after having that memory. Made it very real. Very, very real as an ET abductee. And I know that I caused bruising on that ET shoulder, and I was like very happy about it because I was pissed. I was really pissed off. So, yeah. Then during my last pregnancy, during my last hybrid pregnancy, me and the baby were getting nailed by frequency microwave infrared weaponry by the US government. And baby was hurting. I mean, it was a boy, and he was hurting really badly, and I was getting violently ill. And I literally, I was to the point of crying, and I was in really bad shape. And I called out to the ETs. I said, I know you've got devices in me. You've got some kind of tag in him. I don't know what kind of tag. I just instantly knew that they had a tag on him. And I said, you need to come and protect us right now. We are under attack, and we are in danger. I know that you don't really give much about me, but I know you give everything. You care everything about this baby. You need to come and protect us. You need to heal us. We are in danger, intimate danger. Both of us are not okay. And 4 hours later, I had two 7-foot tall ETs. I was standing at my kitchen sink. And I hear a smart-ass remark, well, you don't look like you're under attack. Pissed me off. I'm like, don't f with a mother. I'm like, no, you fix this. You fix this to where we are not injured. Both of us, not just him, but me too. This is not okay. And they ran whatever scan up and down us, and they're like, oh my God, yeah, well, that wasn't their words, but anyway, it was essentially, oh my God, yeah, you were under attack, and oh my God, yeah, you are. I don't know what they did. We were not abducted. I was not abducted. But I do know this. They healed us in whatever way. And I do know that they instructed baby to do very specific things for his own protection. And essentially, baby taught me certain things that I didn't even realize that he had taught me. And it was, hello, doggy snoring. And what I didn't really realize until after they took my infant, that it wasn't until gotta be careful. Gotta be careful how I say this. It wasn't until a short time afterwards that I went into a deep meditation, very deep meditation, deepest I've ever been in, that I didn't even know I could do. And I unexpectedly found out that I can partially do what he did to protect himself. Now, my problem is I can't maintain that. I wish I could, and I wish I could teach it to other people, other targeted people. Because if I could, it would be a game changer for everybody. All of the targeted people, it would be a major game changer, and the government would have no control of trying to kill us. Because that's essentially what they're doing. They're trying to use microwave technology, infrared technology, to create really bad cells, to cause cancer, to cause very serious illness, to cause they're essentially doing Havana syndrome type of situations, and on a number of abductees, because we're talking. It's real. Whether you want to believe it or not, it is real. I've had 2 medical doctors who believe me, who I actually came out to and said, look, this is what I'm experiencing. We need to deal with my health a very specific way. And to my utter and complete shock, and to their, I was going to say honor is not the right word, but to their credit, they actually believe me. And I got home from each one of those doctor appointments and sat and cried, because it just, I'm getting teary just thinking about it, because it's such a big deal to have 2 medical people who actually believe you when you talk about being targeted, because many doctors gaslight. Do you know how many times I've been medically gaslit in my lifetime? I had a doctor who told me that everything that I was experiencing, this was in the 90s, or excuse me, late 80s, everything that I was experiencing in my lifetime was all in my head. She got this close to my face and told me that I needed to see a psychiatrist. I walked back into her after seeing a different doctor, finding the right doctor who got all the right medical testing, all the right things. And I told her, I went back in there and I said, fuck you, bitch. You don't know shit. You don't know shit. This is what the diagnosis is, and you, bitch, you missed it. Pissed me the fuck off. I was so livid at her. Not just the audacity, because they hadn't done every test. That's what I learned from this other doctor. They hadn't. I had 2 different doctors. One of them was like, I'm not finding it. I'm going to refer you out, and hopefully they can find it. And if they can't, they will refer you. She didn't. The second doctor never referred me. Oh yeah, she made a referral to a psychiatrist. I had true, honest to God medical issues that were causing significant problems with me. So the fact that I came across two doctors this time around, individually who do not know each other, one is younger, one is older, and they both believe me. The first doctor, when I told him, he knew exactly what to do. He knew exactly what the fuck to do. Pardon the language. I thank God for him all the time. And the other one, I'm thanking God for her because, you know, it's not very often you find doctors who will believe you when it comes to that kind of stuff. So, you know, as an ET abductee and as somebody who is significantly targeted via energy weapons and things to find medical practitioners who actually believe you and who know based on your own medical testing and different things that are taking place, yeah, that's a big deal. Now, have I told them that I'm an ET abductee? No. I told them that I read a very specific government book when I was a teenager, and it deals with the entire US government's knowledge about ufology, and that's why I got targeted, because I asked a retired CIA agent, long retired CIA agent, and he still had contacts, and he turned my name over. So yeah, because I didn't think I was beginning to believe that the book wasn't real. Come to find out, oh yes, it's very real. Oh yeah, it's according to certain MUFON director, excuse me, not plural, individual. Yeah, it's a legendary book. So yeah, and I found out it's not just legendary, it's a real effing book. And they don't want it talked about. And usually, anytime I talk about it, I get nailed. So you combine that with the 3 retired military officers that I know of. Yeah, there's a couple of attorneys that I actually need to talk, very famous attorneys that I actually need to talk to. So, and there are certain people that are very dear friends of mine who have been targeted because of me. And I'm very careful with what information I tell them because of that. They don't get the do weapon shit. They aren't receiving. It's a completely different ballgame. So 2 hours and 13 minutes into this. It's 10:23 my time, Pacific Standard Time, whatever they classify it now. Anyway, it's Pacific time. But the hybrids, they typically, regarding the females, they take your eggs. They jack up your hormones. Couldn't think of the word. They jack up your hormones. They screw with your body to get you fertile, to where they can then take your eggs. And yes, they can take your eggs all at once. I know somebody, actually, I know a couple of people, but the one person is the one I think of the most. She had all of her eggs taken, none left for her. They went to, and it's medically, it's medically documented. I'm getting tired. That's part of the problem, I think. So anyway, a lot going on. If you have questions, feel free to ask. Truly, I mean that wholeheartedly. If you have questions, ask me. Or you can ask me. I can be reached at I have to think about this. Sorry, restore. Excuse me. Restore Belief 2022 at gmail.com. I can also be reached in the comment section. You can ask in the comment section. As soon as I end this, and thank you for the subscriptions. I appreciate that. And the follows and the likes. So if you find this useful, please share it out. What I was going to say, the other place you can find description box. Somebody please remind me of the description box, because that's what I want to get to next. I can also be reached at facebook.com/Nikki, Nikki .Jacobs, JACOBS.376. That will take you to my personal Facebook page. And there is a link there to my psychic page. Okay. Now you can leave me a messenger message. I don't take, unless I personally know you, I don't take new friend requests. I get a lot of friend requests almost on it. I get a lot of friend requests. Half of them are legitimate people, and the other half are scammers. So, just an FYI, I get a lot of that, especially after being as public as I am. But just know, I will respond. If it's email, it might take me, just expect up to a week. I check that email twice a week. I'm going to be trying to do it more often. Technology is what it is for me, but I will try to be doing that a lot more often. Now, what else? Description box. Ha, I remembered it. As soon as I get done with this live broadcast, I will put all the proper description stuff in the description box. Because I had such a tech issue, I was not able to do that this time around. And for whatever reason, I cannot access via my phone any live broadcast that I intend to do, that is scheduled and set up to do. I cannot seem to do. I cannot access it that way. And so apparently this is the only way that I can do that, is just to hit the live button. So all of the description boxes is completely empty right now. I'm looking at it right now. It says no description has been added to this video. Well, no shit, Sherlock. There's a reason for that. Wasn't able to access it. But I said I was going to go live, and I made damn sure that I was going to go live tonight. So the hybrids, so that all of that information about the females. Now, what I've been told, because I'm not a male, what I have been told by friends who are abductees, who are fathers to hybrid children, there are many different levels of hybridization programs. One of the hybridization program, or the hybridization program that I am in, that I am very much aware of, is where they take the genetic material, they splice it and dice it with ET genetic material, implant the fertilized egg into the host surrogate mother. I used to call the babies parasites. They're not by any stretch of the imagination. That was my process mentally in how I was thinking of it. Now I'm like, oh my God, they're my babies. What the fuck am I talking? They're not parasites. Anyway, but I always talk about how much being an ET abductee is the process, a process. It very much is. It's a hell of a thing to wrap your mind around and to fully grapple with every aspect of this. So that's what happens to the females. Some programs, some hybridization programs are to where, like mine is, to where after a very short amount of time, hello, that's a long snore. A puppy dog, 50-pound puppy dog who's sitting next to me just snoring away. Anyway, after a short amount of time, whether it's 6 weeks, 9 weeks, 3 months, or 5 months, gestational time in mama, then the baby is removed and put into a gestational container. Okay. I've seen the container be like what looks like a glass cylinder. I've seen, hello. I've seen the container to where it looks, I'm going to take all this off. Hang on a second. There we go. Nice big deep breath, dog. F balls. There we go. Oops. Nope. Let's see if I can call this up on images. Okay, created for Nikki AI. Okay, so I've had AI create these images for me. Okay, whoop, hello. Nope. I don't know what the fuck that was, but let's just not hit buttons, please. So I've had infants that look like this, that are blue, that are green. The forehead is much bigger though, like much bigger, and the eyes are much bigger. But the small nose, small lips, small chin, big cheeks. Okay. Here's another example. Bigger eyes. Okay. My children, every one of my children have blue eyes. Okay. I've had, goodness, loudness. Come on, open up. Open. Oh, you're not opening. Nope, not opening. Okay. I've had children resemble that before. Not the dark eyes, the black, they've blue eyes. Okay. I've never shown that picture before. I've had my girls look very similar to this. Anywhere from black hair to, well, I'm not going to say white, but blonde, red, brown. Black and red is extremely rare. Very, very rare. I've had a daughter that resembles that. Okay. Another example. Greener skin, more green than anything else. The nose is not right on this, and neither are the lips. The lips need to be much smaller, and so does the nose. Cheeks need to be bigger, and eyes need to go much bigger. But the coloring on the skin is just right. I've had boys that look like that. That's green, by the way. You can't quite tell it in this image, but that's green. Green with blue eyes. There's another. These are all AI that I've had created for me. Okay. This is real close to, the lips are too big, and the nose is too big, and the eyes are too small. The eyes need to be bigger. The hair needs to be back farther on the head. But the coloring is right. And so are the color of the eyes. Trying to find any others that I've had made for me. Oh, this is what I'm talking about in a cylinder. Okay. Similar, not that. There's none of this bullshit, but the AI wouldn't do anything else, which just pissed me off, but that's how it is. And they're not Caucasian. The ones I've seen, when they're in that container, they're blue or they're green. Well, not all of them, but quite a few of them. Okay, yeah, that's it. That's all I've got on that. But the sacks are completely different ballgame. I've had, hang on, now this one's going to take me a minute. I've had other people recognize me. Nope. I've had other people recognize me. This is also AI, but that's real close to what I look like. Real close, like really freaking close to what I look like. In my early 30s. The hair color on this one is correct. The face is real close to that in the 90s. And it's been a hell of a process. And I'm not military. I got family who's military. I've never once been in this body military. Okay. Those are clone bodies. Well, that's why I talk about there are certain groups of ET that take consciousness. They subdivide out consciousness. That's a whole nother subject. Whole nother subject, baby. So this is Trevor. Hello. Trevor J. Hi. Hello. Welcome. Trevor Jr. Okay. So welcome. Come on in. Grab a cup of whatever you want to drink. Talking hybrids and ETs, and just brought up SSP, Secret Space Program. So anyway, that's a lot of information. But the guys who are fathers, they experience it very differently. They're put on a table and they have sexual experiences. Women have sexual experiences too, but in a different way. And if they're going after one egg at a time for the women, then it's a very specific way. For the men, they need the ejaculate, and to get that, They need them to have a wet dream, basically, baby. Create them, hello, tummy growling. And so that can be in a dreamlike state the ETs create to get the ejaculate. It can be in regular life. And that's a different form of hybridization program. So, okay. Whoops, all in caps. Didn't mean to do caps. There we go. And so it's quite a process. There's other hybridization programs that are around that do actual sex with partners. And it is described in numerous different ways. Samantha Mowat describes her experience. She's described her experience on Spaced Out Radio. She's not been on Spaced Out Radio for quite some time, and I can only imagine why. Because when she goes underground, there are really damn good reasons that she does. So she's one who's in a completely different hybridization program than me. And there are women that are like her that talk about that they're having intercourse with men who look human, who are not biologically human men. They are an ET that is physically and sexually compatible to a human. And these women go through a full pregnancy. However long and it's usually the ET this is what I've learned. This may be controversial for some people. Well, the whole subject may be controversial for some people, but this specific aspect of it may be controversial to those who are abductees. Because, here we go. Even though these men or these women that the human males are having intercourse with, the men having with a hybrid female or a ET female, can be, yeah, he's been sawing logs. Anyway, they can end up, the women, the human women can end up being pregnant for quite some time, but it all comes down to the ET genetics of the male sperm essentially takes over. And that, from how I understand it, from what I've been told, from what I've heard of other people, it takes over in such a way to where the gestational, it's not 9 months like it is for a human. It's much shorter. So like in my situation, my pregnancies only now they only last 3 months. But the gestational container is a 3-month. So the total cycle for the infant is a total of 6 months. Okay. So for a human woman who is in a different hybridization program, who is dealing with actual intercourse with what looks like a human man, that is actually a excuse me, that is actually a ET, extraterrestrial, um, the human female will be pregnant for however long the ETs, it's shortened down quite significantly, so they may only be pregnant for 6 months. And it's a partner of the human's choosing. There's some kind of, there's a like a sexual chemistry between the partners, and that's what they're there for. That's what both sets, the human and the men, are there for. I mean, they know this. I can't even wrap my mind around the knowledge of that. That it's more than I can even. I'm having a harder time with that than I am with what I go through. But that's just me. I mean, everybody deals with this very, very differently, and it is a mind bender, truly a major, major mind bender. So, and the guys, I mean, they're going through it too. It's not just us women that are being surrogate moms. The men, the human men, they're not being a surrogate, but they're the genetic material, the genetic makeup, for some things. So there's a man that I know. Oh, now this gets into another subject, or another aspect of the subject. But there's a man that I know, human man that I know, who had ejaculate, sperm taken from him, and he has numerous hybrid ET human hybrid children. But I also know that his genetic material, his sperm, was also cut and spliced and diced with an ET sperm and then implanted into an egg, fertilized the human egg. And I mean, that to me is an even bigger mind bender. So, you think about all of that. It is incredible what is being done. The fact that they can even, quote unquote, splice and dice, quote unquote, closed quote. Anyway, the fact that they can even do that kind of finite splicing and dicing is really hard for us to wrap our heads around. We're at a level to where, yeah, clones have been made for over 30 years. Humans have been making clones for well over 30 years. Human clones. But the fact that this other splice and dice through the ETs is being done, that's really fascinating, really kind of scary, and yet kind of mind-boggling all at once. And you think about it, and it's because we are so conditioned by the governments of this planet to believe otherwise, to believe that we've got the technology that we do, and yet they are so much farther advanced, a lot of years advanced. Okay, earlier I got told between 75 and 120 to 130 years advanced in technology, but yet it's not out there yet. Well, that's all about controlling the narrative. So there's so many different levels to this. It's quite mind-bending to say the very least. So, um, so when you're dealing with being an ET abductee, what kind of ET abductee are you? Are you in a hybridization program? Are you being medically tested for different things? In other words, are you a guinea pig? Are you, if you're in a hybridization, are you in a hybridization towards like me? Do you consider your hybrid children your children? I sure as hell do. They're my babies. They're my eggs. That's my genetic makeup. That's my genetic material. It was only this last, gotta be careful. It's only in the last less than 7 to 9, okay. Between 5 to 9 days, that's how I need to say this. Within the last 5 to 9 days, I have been told I've never heard of anybody having 30 children. Yeah, I have. I not only have heard of it, I've heard of ET abductees having up to 60 children, women that are in their 70s. Hell, there are some that are in their 70s and 80s. They've talked about having 60 hybrid children. I can't even wrap my head around that. Well, it's because of how it's being done. There are women that are in the hybridization program to where all they've ever known is 6-week pregnancies. Well, I'm not one of those. Having a stretchy skin, joints pop, and it's really a lot of popping right now. So in all of that, you're dealing with a lot of children that are being built, being created. There are people that talk about the zetas. Zetas are a different form than some of what I call the tall whites. A lot of times they don't want to be captured on camera. They're trying to protect a lot of this that's taking place. They're trying to protect generations upon generations of human, but they're also trying to protect generation upon generation of ET. And for those of us who have a soul contract, apparently I've got a soul contract that I am aware of that goes back many lifetimes. And in each lifetime, I've been some form of an abductee. So, and I instinctively know which group of ET are bad. Wow, do I. I get violently ill when I'm around the bad ones. I get like violently ill to the point of, well, I haven't projectile vomited yet when I'm around the bad ones that I'm aware of, but I've come damn freaking close. I used to very clearly say for a number of years, put me out in the ocean and I can tell you where an underwater ET base is. The wrong kind of ET. Not the good ones, the wrong kind. So, because my gut will scream and then I will start getting to the point of want to vomit. It's like, and then get me out of there now. I don't want anything to do with them. They are so bad. They're so detrimental. But I can give you bases. It's kind of a big deal. So, and I know a number of other people that are very much the same way, a number of other abductees that are very much the same way. They're like, yeah, you don't want to be around those. Well, why? Somebody's asking them, well, why? Because they're detrimental. They're not the nice ones. They're the real detrimental ones. They'll do things to you that are truly terrifying and frightening. Um, so, and as an abductee, once you break through your um, screen memories, or I couldn't think of the word. Once you break through the screen memories or the blocks that either you put on your own brain or the blocks that the ETs put on your brain, once you break through that, um, be expecting triggers if you want to know. But here's the thing, if you want to know, you need to be very well prepared, because there may be things you really didn't want to know to begin with. But there's a lot of other things that you really do want to know. So it's, what's your level? What is it that you really want to know? Is it something that you want to take into and get, the hell is that? Hang on. Okay, it's the light from over here. I was like trying to figure out, I was like, what the fuck is that? Sorry, this is a little thing you notice. It's a real mind bender and a real mind trip in trying to wrap your head around all of this ET information. And be prepared. Is it something that you want to take to a hypnotherapist, to where you want to have hypnosis regression hypnosis, I guess is the terminology. I've not had hypnosis regression. I know many people who have. I don't have a damn thing against it. I'm choosing not to do it because I don't want, if I ever have to get called into court about it, court does not allow, they will rip you a new asshole. If you've had hypnosis regression, every memory you've ever had gets called into question. Every memory. And I don't want that to happen with me. I want things to happen naturally. If I get triggered, I get triggered. I put it out there to the ETs. I put it out there to the hierarchies. I put it out there to my spirit guides. And I've been told by them, by all of them, in fact, that there are things that are too dangerous for you to know. One. Number two, there are things that will make you will not be able to emotionally handle. That's number two. And number three, how much do you really want to know? And I'm like, I want to know all of it that I can emotionally handle. And so that's what I'm having. Things are popping up left and right. I get all kinds of triggers now. And those triggers are helping me break through the ET blocks, or I don't have many screen memories left from the ETs because I broke through a couple of the really big ones. But I have a lot of blocks on myself. For example, one of the blocks that I have is directly from the fact uh, that here I've been an ET abductee essentially all my life, but only remember it from 4 years old. And the next thing, I have a situation in my own bedroom. I'm 7, and I'm jumping on my bed and I'm begging and pleading for this ET to show herself because she's being telepathic. She literally just brought me back my room is bright and shiny white and it's in the middle of the night, and why is my room bright and shiny and there's no electricity on? Well, it's because there was an ET ship up above and it was showing light, bright, I mean, it was blinding bright white light in both windows of my bedroom. And it took me a long time to realize, wait a minute, why is it that I could see this ET and there's bright light, but it's nighttime? Where the F did that white light come from? Where? It made no logical sense to me. And it wasn't until somebody literally asked me in my chat, and I went, oh my God. And I kind of lost it. I was like, oh my God, that's a very good point. Why didn't I think of that? Well, I didn't think of it because I'm so focused on the fact that this ET actually showed herself. And I'm literally, somebody's telling me, you got to tell them what she looked like. And I'm like, oh my God, okay. So, a lot of things that are popping tonight. That's, so she, very beefy, very bulky, about 8 feet tall. The only way that I can do this. Her skin was translucent. Oh my God, you've got to be fucking kidding me. Damn, why is it? Hang on, I'm trying to. Oh, you're not letting me do this. Damn. Hang on, guys. I was really hoping I could do that before it would go away. Yay, got it. Okay. So, let's see if I can find, I don't know if it's still in here or not. There is, no, that's the Loborians. Okay, no, I'm not showing that tonight. Created, let's see if I can find you. There is an image that I had AI create, and it's actually not bad. Very tall, very big, remind me kind of like a I was going to say reptoid, that's not what I meant. But yet at the same time, you could see through the skin. God, I'm not finding it. Damn, I bet it's on this phone instead. Anyway, the point is that, so I saw, and I kept asking, I remember asking our Keith Andrews, why do I feel like it's a woman? Oh, hello. I don't know how to pronounce your name, dear. Lucia Love. Hi. I'm glad you did. I'm glad you said hello. Sharon. Well, hello, Sharon. I'm Nikki. Welcome. I was trying to find meta because everything that I've done has been meta AI. And I know there's better AI out there. But this is what it was the easiest one that I could choose at the time. Let's see if I can find it through this old phone. But basically, the veins, I could see the veins. So I was asking our Keith Andrews why, because he's another ET abductee and he talks extensively, and you can find his YouTube channel, our Keith Andrews. That's his name. Was the only one out there, to my knowledge. Anyway, you could see the red muscles and the blue veins, and it was as if she had a translucent, like her skin was completely translucent, and but yet she had the head of a what I could only classify as a reptilian. And scan, scroll, trying to find this, and it might be a little bit, but anyway, so I'm going to keep talking. Oh, okay, bingo. So this is Meta AI. So you could see all the muscles, all the blue veins. Was more like this. It was more like that. Definitely not 5 fingers. I don't remember at this second how many fingers she had, but you could see her her feet, her fingers. No, I can't say no real tail, because I remember something off of her back, but I can't remember exactly what it was. And yeah, this is real similar. Like all the veins were popping out of it, of this ET. I still couldn't get the right, but every muscle, everything. There was no, and this is all Meta AI, just using these as educational purposes. And but the blue was almost black, regarding the veins. And I kept asking him, why does she look like a male? And this was early on. This was like 2000, was it 18 or 2019? And I'm asking him, why does this ET look male when I keep calling her a her? And he's like, because that's their specific race of ET. And the fact that there was this translucent, and yet you could see the skin, the translucent skin. You could see the translucent skin, and it was leathery and like little not half moons, crescents, little crescents on it. And it was a real mind bender to me. I mean, that was, but it's 7 years old. So I'm bouncing, jumping up and down on my bed. And I'm begging and pleading with her to show me. I'm 7 years old. I'm like happy to be home. But here's the thing. I'm in my own safe home environment. Or so that was my thought as a child. I'd just been on board the ET ship. She had just brought me back, but she was in a frequency range to where she was completely invisible. She was completely cloaked. Okay? And a lot of these beings can do that. And these ETs, a lot of them can, not a lot can shapeshift. I was going to say shapeshift, that's not the word, but a lot of them can cloak themselves with their very, very high frequency. And it's a form of, it's called phase shifting. Speaking of which, I have to write that one down again because I don't use that word very often. Phase shifting. There we go. But anyway, during the phase shift, they literally go from physical to completely invisible, and they're still there. And so when they come onto Earth, they go completely invisible. They completely cloak. And I wanted to see her. I wanted to see her in my home. And I don't know why I wanted to see her in my home, but I did. And when I saw her, she terrified me. And I was not terrified of her when I was on board that ship. I wasn't terrified of her at all. Matter of fact, we had all kinds of conversations. And I had this kind of like, she was kind of like a big sister type of feeling. She was an adult. And here I am begging and pleading with her to have this experience to where I'm seeing her. But because I was in my own home environment and she did finally relent and she showed me, I started screaming. I started screaming at the top of my lungs. And of course, I woke my mom up, who's in another room down the hall from me. There's a bathroom in between us. And the next thing I know, I'm laying in bed and I'm no longer standing on my bed screaming my freaking head off. Well, I was standing, and then she had me get into bed. She had me get in and not lay down, but I was sitting up with the blankets at my waist and the pillow behind me. And so I had gotten in, I had finally sat down and gotten into bed and finally talked her into, with all the begging and pleading I did as a 7-year-old. And here she shows me, 6 or 7, but I keep saying 7. Anyway, here she shows me, and it was because of that episode, that experience, that I blocked myself of everything. And by that point, you have to remember, like earlier tonight, we're 3 hours into this. So earlier tonight, I had talked about the fact that my grandmother, as a psychic blind woman who was seeing the same floating spirit that I was seeing, she had already instructed me, shh, Nicole, we don't talk about those things. We don't want to go into the crazy house. We don't want to go into the insane asylum and blah, 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 blah. So by this point, I had learned early on to already keep my mouth shut. And by 7 years old, after that experience, I was hiding. After that experience, after my mom flipped on the light, because the light it was already off, the bright white light disappeared. The ET, I never did remember her name. She left my bedroom, and the light from the spaceship completely disappeared out of my bedroom. My mom comes running down the hallway, flips on my bedroom light. I'm sitting there screaming, monster, monster, monster. There's a monster in my room. I've never done that in my entire life. And so, it just, and I just heard my mother, I've never heard you describe this story, Nikki. No, but that's what had happened. Love you, Mom. God, I miss her. Even though she's sitting right next to me, I still miss her physical presence. Anyway, my point is that hey, Woo Writers, how are you doing, Nikki? I'm tired. I'm very tired, but I'm okay. But this was really, really quite the experience, and it completely shut me down in how I was dealing with everything that came after that. How I dealt with different people, how I dealt with different abuses that I went through. It locked a lot of things out for me. And so, you know, even it locked out the how I psychically saw spirits, because before I was seeing them full-fledged, I mean, in full physical, look like flesh and blood physical being, alive, and they weren't. And after that experience, I started psychically seeing them very differently. So I've been trying to get that back ever since, and I haven't been able to get that to open back up because I did such an incredible job of blocking myself regarding the seeing, visually, psychically, visually seeing. And it's because I was so traumatized by this ET who had relented, and it was because of my own doing and my own choosing. And that's what ended up taking place. So, but yeah, we've had quite the, I love you too. We've had quite the life, quite the experience. Um, it's none of it's been easy. You get through it. My mom, I'm so grateful. Okay, hey, you gonna have me, lady, you gonna have me in tears. I'm so grateful and thankful for the mom that I had, the mom that I chose as a soul, because she got me through a lot of things and she taught me a lot of things that really helped. Oh God, really helped. Sorry. I still miss her physical presence, even though I know she's here. So, and I can feel her kind of holding on to me. I don't know how to explain that. And my eye color just changed. Went from blue to green. Fun, fun. Oh, always no. um, so yeah, it just okay. Gotta take that because we gotta wipe the eyeballs. Woo. Um, wow. And of course the dog is snoring. So anyway, regarding ETs, it's just quite the process. It's labor intensive if you want to do the work. Do you really want to do the work? Um, so it's quite the situation, to say the least. Um, I don't know where to go from here regarding. Oh my, he's really out. Wow. I don't know really where to go from here in everything. If you find any of this of interest, um, and want to learn more, um, feel free to click the like button and share or subscribe button. Hello, loud puppy. It's not as loud as he's been, but anyway. I think that's probably where I'm going to leave it. I thank you all for coming. For those that have popped in and out repeatedly, for the many who have viewed this, and for those who have stayed throughout it all, I thank you very much. And you're okay, you're out. Okay, night, Amy. I hope that you all do well, and you take very good care of yourself. Hello, doggy. Anyway, take good care. I've got to figure out how to end this now. We'll see how this goes. Ooh, this is going to get interesting. Anyway, take very good care of yourself, folks. I hope you have a very good weekend. Stay safe. Stay aware. And thank you for those that have been praying for my kid, my adult kid. I appreciate that. He's doing a bit better, and I am very thankful for that. So anyway, I gotta figure out how to end this. I'm on a new device, and I've never done this before, so we shall see how this goes. Okay, let's see. Do I do it here? No, I don't want to start a poll. Connecting. You're live. Oh my God. Okay. How do I do this? Check. Seriously. Oh, is it the X? I don't know. Well, live and learn, I guess. Live and learn, baby. Live and learn. Oh my God, this is going to get interesting. Hopefully I'm not live all night. Oh, that could get really twisted. Okay. Well, I hope you have a good night. Excuse me while I try to figure this shit out. Oh my. Okay, let's see. What else can we do here? No, I don't want to start a poll. Get off of that. Community moderation, no. Doesn't say end video. Ooh, we might have a problem here, folks. Okay, we're gonna get real close. Up close in person now. Okay, what the hell is this button? 49-second short was uploaded to your channel. No! Oh my God, that's gonna get interesting. Okay, so what is this? Retouch on. No, not oh my God, that's a filter. I don't do filters. What the off. Okay, see, that's me with it off. Okay. What is this button? Oh, this is gonna get interesting. What is this? Mic on. No, that's video off, but I'm still live. Okay. How the hell do we do this, folks? How the hell do we do this? Oh, this is fun. I'm just trying to figure out how the hell to get out of here. Okay, what's this arrow? Oh, I guess I'm going to post it to that. Reconnecting, but I'm still live. Oh my God. Okay. Hopefully this does it. I'm hoping I'm saying goodbye for now. Okay, bye. Oh, maybe. Ah, there we go. I found it. I found the button. Such a simple little thing. Anyway, I hope you guys have a very good weekend. I hope you have fun. Take very good care. Bye, guys.